A Thursday night game between the UTSA Roadrunners and the USF Bulls. UTSA just stomped Tulane last week, and USF is looking to keep its playoff hopes alive. USF comes into this one 6-2, and they are currently tied with 5 other teams at the top of the American. So they are looking to continue their goal of making the college football playoff. And there's something to be said about this team where you feel confident that they could be the biggest problem for any team that they face in the college football playoff and have the best chance of any team potentially win a game. There are plenty of other teams you could discuss, but USF has a strong case for that. The problem is that they have to win out, and it's not going to be easy. This is not going to be an easy task to beat this UTSA team, especially if the Roadrunners are playing like they did last week. Now, Byron Brown has been as advertised. We talked about this coming into the year and what he could potentially do for this team, and he has lived up to the hype. He has carried this team at times, and even though they've had quite a few injuries, there have been times where Byron Brown has just done it all, even when people are healthy. The nice thing is that the guys that are working with him, the guys that are rotating in, have stepped up in a big way too. So when you've had guys like Chaz Nimrod go down, Keyshawn Singleton stepped up. Other guys have stepped up in his place. Jeremiah Koger stepped up as well. So you've seen guys deliver when they need them to. And that's part of college football, unfortunately. Part of college football is that you're going to sustain injuries. You're going to have guys go down, and how do you respond to that? How do you work through that? That is a big question for every team, and USF has done a great job of battling through those injuries. Now, the big question for USF is what can their defense do against a UTSA offense that I think is finding its momentum. It's finding its true form. And we talked about that coming into the year. What could this group look like? USF's defense has to be disruptive. One thing that Tulane did not do a good job is limiting the explosive plays and disrupting what Owen McCown wanted to do. So guys like Mac Harris, Jalen Schuler, those are guys that are going to have to get this group to play at that level. They're going to have to get disruptive plays and force UTSA into a lot of third and long situations, because this Roadrunners offense is more than capable of moving the ball down the field efficiently. And if they continue their balance that they found last week, the Bulls are definitely in trouble. But this USF defense has shined at times. The defense has been really good at times. We've also seen some lapses in their abilities. So I think that getting them to play at a certain level is going to be huge to be able to slow down this team that they're facing, as well as make that run to the playoff. And at 6-2, you just can't afford any more losses. And again, with the group of 5 only getting one spot, you already have one conference loss. You need to find a way to continue winning and get into the American Conference Championship game. From there, it's up to you on where you go at that point. So if you're USF, there are plenty of opportunities for this team to be able to move the ball down the field. I don't think that UTSA's defense is anything elite that USF has not seen yet. I mean, the best defense they saw is Miami's. Nobody's going to compare to that. And UTSA's defense has had its moments of good play, but they still have plenty of deficiencies that USF can expose. And the fact that they're 14-point favorites speaks to what this team is capable of doing in this game. Now, when you go to the UTSA side of things, this is a Roadrunners team that started the year with hopes of making the American Conference Championship. And while those are still a long way from happening, they need some help. They're still technically in the race. There's a lot that needs to happen for them, but they're playing good football right now. And last week, they took down one of those conference contenders in Tulane. Now, Jeff Traylor has fallen off in terms of one of the hotter commodities for any head coaching opportunities, but it's very clear that he still knows what he's doing. He still very much can coach and is very good at what he does. So if people have questions about his abilities, they should probably stop asking those questions. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to build a program. And it's clear that even when things aren't going right, he can turn things around. Last week was a perfect example of that. And last week was also the example of this is what UTSA can do. This is the type of damage that UTSA can do. Owen McCown looked really good, and that's helpful because Robert Henry Jr. has, for the most part, been carrying this offense. 120 carries, 955 yards. He's averaging 8 yards a carry still after 8 games. He's still averaging 8 yards per carry, which is insane. 9 touchdowns for him. He's also had 15 catches for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. When they needed explosive play, Robert Henry is the guy that they go to. Now they found that, hey, our offense can be more balanced. We don't need the running back to carry our team. And we saw that last week. The one thing with this team is we didn't know who was going to be that go-to wide receiver. We didn't know if this was going to be a by committee approach or if they had an alpha. Now, you already lost one wide receiver before the season even began. Decorian Clark was supposed to be part of this team, but he's out. He's preparing for the NFL draft. That being said, we knew this group had talent. You had Devin McEwen coming back. David Amador was coming back as well. So you knew you had options. It's just who was going to be that guy. And so far, we haven't seen someone step up as that alpha, but it's been more of that by committee approach. Devin McEwen, 460 yards, 6 touchdowns. AJ Wilson, a nice new face for this team. 335 yards. He's averaging 20.9 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns. Amador has 237 yards. Houston Thomas, the tight end, 171. So we've seen a number of guys step up. And even last week, we saw multiple players deliver when they needed them the most. So that's really exciting for a team that is trying to make a strong run towards the end of the year in the last 4 games. Stopping this offense, though, is really where you have the biggest concerns. This is not a group that has been disruptive. This is not a group that has dominated on the defensive side of the ball. And now you're facing one of the most explosive offenses in college football. That is going to be a challenge that you haven't seen yet. Now, you've played Texas A&M, and I think they did a pretty good job of making explosive plays on offense, but that defense did not do anything against Texas A&M. And USF's offense has the ability to put up points. So in terms of how this game plays out, it really comes down to what UTSA defense are we going to see? Is this a group that's going to limit what the offense does like they did against Tulane? The problem is that you're going against a quarterback in Byron Brown that is way different than what you saw last week. He's way better than the quarterbacks you saw against Tulane. So that is a different level of difficulty. USF's going to win this game. I think that they're just too good, and maybe UTSA is still going to be on track to finish the year strong, but USF is going to win this one. I think this is a very focused team, a very motivated team, and they are still very much aware of what is still on the table for them to go forward and be able to win a playoff game if you're able to play at that level. But just for sure, getting into the playoff, winning the American title is still very much on the table. The Bulls are going to win, and they're going to keep those goals alive.